Hello friends, welcome back once again to my channel. We are all heading towards to welcome a new year altogether, and we are kind of a year end for 2020. And this particular video, I would say maybe the last video in this year that I'm going to publish. And in this video, I thought to share with you like what kind of uh, you know different explorations that I'm planning to focus or plan to do in the coming days. And if you are following this, I mean whoever following this channel closely and having some interest to know like what kind of new different technology contents that you might expect, I thought to give a heads up through this video. But before getting into that discussion, I would like to take at least 1 minute to say a big thanks to all my viewers. The I didn't expect that much of support and encouragement, honestly, because I don't think my contents are too good compared to that of other YouTube channels. It's mostly kind of a boring, I would say, but still I got a lot of support and encouragement. It's a really I'm overwhelmed with this response. And yeah, the 240 is the subscriptions the moment I'm recording this video, and that's really a big number for me. I know it is nothing if you compare to any other popular YouTube channel, it's close to zero, but for me it's a big number because I didn't expect that much of a response within short period of span of time. I started this channel maybe in the month of August end or close to, I think in the beginning of October, some around like 4 months I have been sharing my contents through different video tutorials in this YouTube platform. And yeah, thanks a lot for your support, and I hope in coming days a lot of more viewers will find this channel useful, and I'll be able to keep continuing creating more contents in coming days. So now let's head over to that discussion that all the way I was thinking you to share with. So this is the SAP Cloud Platform Developer roadmap for 2021. A very well articulated, roadmap I found somewhere in my LinkedIn network or probably SAP community, I guess. But anyway, if you have this document with you or the file with you, that's very fine. Otherwise, I'll be just give a link of this document in my description box so that you can also download it and you can also check this out. So it's very detailed way, a lot of things been mentioned and probably quite overwhelming things, I guess. I believe a person very difficult to follow all and enter things, and we will be not of course following everything, but certain topics I'm planning to pick out of this roadmap, and we'll create certain contents and I'll share with you. That's the overall plan. So let's see what exactly I'm going to pick out of this list and which are relevant going forward. And I'll be, just taking you through all those points which probably you can get some sort of, fair enough idea if you are very new to this kind of, things. Let's go to the top of this document now. So this is kind of a bifurcation happened with the backend and front end, but I prefer with full stack development. So obviously I'll focus in both the sides in our discussion. The first thing is of course the language selection, and as per the guidance or roadmap, they are calling it kind of a JavaScript and TypeScript way forward to be focused on, along with Java, Python, and ABAP. I mean it's already available, and we have to more focus on this one. If you ask me, I basically comfortable with ABAP, Python, and JavaScript, but I am still digging out more on the TypeScript part. But way forward, I was thinking to create a content about, I mean, series of contents rather, to make ABAPers get acquainted with this kind of JavaScript skills. Python is very fantastic thing, as we all know. It's been used, kind of a deep learning or maybe machine learning things. And way forward, obviously, you can expect definitely certain machine learning things in our in my channel. Java, I'm not going to focus immediately, but yeah, let's see. Currently, this one talks about the Git thing. To be honest, I think the ABAPers really don't, need much of this Git kind of concepts so far. because we have a organically built robust transport management as well versioning things. So we are happy with it. But the problem is the situation gets changed slowly. The ACP is becoming more social, and we are heading towards a lot of DevOps concepts. I'll definitely recommend each developers slowly get to know like the Git concepts. It's a fantastic version control thing, management tool, and you should definitely learn the things how to use Gits for your collaborations. We definitely need some IDE to develop our application, and so far I've been using Eclipse and Visual Studio Code, whereas I have used a lot many times with the business application studio also for my project related things, but not in my channel yet. So definitely way forward I'll be creating a lot of applications predominantly on HANA on cloud topics, as well cloud application, as well Fury. So obviously I'll be using more of business application studio. That's great. Coming to the tooling part, I mean, what kind of different tools that we should use going forward? And I'm basically using npm. If someone uses yarn also, but I prefer npm node package manager, and of course some sort of prettier and ESLint also, the kind of an extension plugin I have already attached in my IDE. So obviously those tools I'm using as of now. Let's get into certain framework that probably I'll be focusing way forward more. Certain things about Node.js is very, it's basically a JavaScript which will be running in the backend server as a web server, and a couple of Node.js applications I have built in my channel, and those I used for our chatbot or conversational AI purpose. Definitely you may take a look, and certain detailed concepts you can build if you are very beginner, or maybe you know nothing about Node.js. So maybe some sort of hands-on you can easily can get around going through those kind of videos or video tutorials, I would say rather. They are also focusing on the SAP Cloud Platform, Cloud Application Programming Model, or CAPM. Honestly, for if you are being an developer, you don't need to be in a cloud application programming model to explore much. But of course, from the learning and knowledge perspective, you can definitely deep dive into this topic and learn this thing. But ABAP doesn't need, because they would be using RAP instead, RESTful ABAP programming model instead of CAP. But I like this model very much, and I really want to get into more into this to learn the topic, and obviously would explore, and accordingly will create more contents on this topic in future. So stay tuned. Let's get around with the database. For the time being, I'm really quite comfortable with HANA and CDS related things. But way forward, of course, I love to create a lot of applications using Python, Django kind of things framework, and maybe we'll be using MongoDBs or PostgreSQLs if I can manage some sort of infrastructure things. Definitely, I'll be trying to create certain contents for you and to share, and maybe we'll get to know more about how it works and what it is. Next, come back, and this is I think this is very well documented. I definitely much I should appreciate who created this one, and definitely we should follow. If you don't have anything else other than this document, it's a very well balanced kind of a guidelines which you can think through to be a way forward skills that you need to acquire. Now coming back to the APIs, currently the concept comes with an API first, means API management, and the models are so far slowly getting changed. So we have already explored many of REST and OData kind of things, and also for the authentication side, I have covered JSON web-based token, basic authentication, etc. OAuth. So it's a hands-on kind of things. So definitely, I will request you to take a look on those app router kind of concepts, where you'll find more about this, or maybe Postman tool using for web API. Those kind of things I have covered as a hands-on one. So if you are not clear much about how to get or generate token, you probably may take a look on those videos, and you can learn. But way forward, my focus would be to learn more about a GraphQL, and I'll share some contents maybe. For the tooling, this is a Sauger tool. It's a fantastic concept where you can graphically show your data model relations, And you can use Swagger also within ABAP. Okay, that is possible. And for that, I will share some sort of open project, which I found somewhere in the GitHub, so that you can clone this project using ABAP Git in your ABAP platform. And probably you can just try around how this Swagger looks, and you will really appreciate the effort who've been made and shared as an open project. Really a great job done by the team. Honestly, I forgot that person's name. My bad. My apology. But yeah, I definitely will share in my description box the link, so that you can take a look and clone that project and just see how it works. Going forward, the testing is okay. Let's move little down. Yeah, this is something a very lot of discussions happening now, and with the CI/CD pipelines, which is called continuous integration and continuous deployment. And of course, it's a part of DevOps, where many of the organizations moving towards this DevOps kind of a culture, or they are basically investing on these DevOps things. And it talks about kind of a pipeline creation, where you're in a high level. If I just want to talk about how this CI/CD pipeline works, if you are not aware of, just for that I'm just talking. uh, for example, we are creating our ABAP objects, and we are using normal transport mechanism to transport our objects from dev to QA, or maybe QA to production. So this entire process can be automated. So that means you need some sort of monitor or maybe auditor who will just take a look of your objects, whatever you have developed or whatever built, and it will run your ATC checks, and it will also test your code. And if everything fine, then it will basically merge your changes into the main pipe or main channel, and that channel will be connected with your target system, and it will be imported there. So this is called a CI/CD pipelines, where Jenkins is a server. Some sort of tool that will be used as a CI server. CI means continuous integration server. So here, what will happen? Some sort of stages need to be built, and their sort of bash commands will be given, which will run certain automations run. It will happen in the targeted server. Let's say you want to ensure your code will be tested and everything will be checked in a particular server. You are just targeting it's a QA server, for example. So the moment you are making a change of your code, it will basically create a repository update in your Git link. It can be GitHub, it can be GitLab, it can be your corporate Git, whatever. And you definitely should use either your Git GCTS, which is a Git enabled CTS, which will be available from S4 HANA 1909 for the workbench part, and 2020 for the customizing part. And GCTS and ABAP Gits are two different things, probably, but yeah. And GCTS is actually connecting with some sort of Docker concepts, and that is probably I believe that the realistic solution. Otherwise, only using ABAP Git, it is difficult to achieve. It is not possible. Complete CI will not be done. It will be possible to a certain extent, but that will not be a foolproof solution. And if you want to back out certain changes which have been imported wrongly to the target system, you found that your code actually not correct, and it breaks somewhere and creating a regression, then obviously you need to back out your changes. And the code backout is not important, because while the code is making a change, making some tested code was being tested, it might create a data also in the system, and the data need to be backed out to ensure that it moves back to the zeroth state, right? So that's timestamp wise, that restorations of the entire systems is required, which is very very tough. And that's the reason dedicated system, even you allow for your development for or merging and automations, still CI will not be possible to be achieved unless you go for a Docker concept, and that is the GCTS's way forward, a solution that SAP is bringing. And in that sense, what happens is Jenkins will be used, as I said, as a CI server to keep checking your codes, and it will do a lot of automations about running ATC checks and etc. And yeah, you can use some sort of plugins called a project piper for enabling your DevOps there. and pipelines will be created, build will be built in the Jenkins level, and it will do this automation process. I know a little bit of confusing, but way forward I'll create certain contents on that, uh, if possible, and maybe that time it will be more clear. Now, yeah, certain design principles or development principles talks about everything is important, but I just like to focus more on the keys principle, which is the keep it simple, which is a very basic thing we don't follow. Always we make things complicated, and we love things making complicated. I don't know why people make applications too much complicated. It is really not needed. But that's the reason KISS principle will be very important to be applied. And another thing is the TDD, which is the test driven development. It's a very powerful thing, and I definitely encourage every developer to check this out. Other than ABAP environment, rest of the world, I mean, if you just check out other technology, TDD is very common to them. It's very there's part of their day to day development. But in ABAP, unfortunately, despite of having this kind of things available, we are not using it religiously. Okay, we don't use this TDD because TDD is not a syntax. TDD is not a programming language. TDD is basically a design principle, a design technique. You have to think a lot to apply TDD well. Okay, and yeah, object similar like object oriented programming, right? I see people are creating object oriented programming by creating class and methods, calling those methods, and they are thinking it's basically object oriented programming. Unfortunately, it is not. It basically you can think of it kind of a syntactical sugar on your procedural programming only, because it hardly finds any object running around in the program. It's just calling methods. So then probably people will be, it's a conflicting discussion. I know people will say like, then what is a object oriented programming? How you can then define? That's definitely a good question, and we can put more effort. I can put more effort in creating certain contents about the design technique, how our object oriented application to be built. Okay, and how to think object wise. Okay, we don't think object wise honestly. I mean, 90% of the object oriented program is really not object oriented. 10% probably you will find a lot of patterns being used, logical pattern, and that gives actual power of encapsulation, or maybe scalability, or a lot of flexibility of your model. So that we can definitely come up with certain principal part, and I'll also share certain thing about the TDD in later future. Stay tuned, and keep a tab on my channel so that you can get to know those kind of things, because these are basically not well discussed over the internet, I believe. As kind of a working model, you can find a lot of theoretical things, but how exactly to be done, what are the things really required in a project perspective, it's probably good to know, good to learn. So just wait for some time. I'll definitely create some contents over there in my channel, and hopefully you'll appreciate from the ABAP standpoint, like how powerful it is, and why it was so far not used in your application development. And of course that talks about more on the message broker when you talks about event driven kind of thing, right? And of course Kafka, it's a fantastic concepts been built by LinkedIn, and good to know about how the message kind of handling message events can be handled well with the Kafka concepts. And a bigger applications will be all event driven, because event is the new strategy of your handling things of your application buildup, and you'll be passing a lot of messages around your applications for the integrations part, and those messages needs to be well managed through Kafka, or maybe you can use a cloud application enterprise messaging, a kind of a SAP proprietary things, and you can definitely focus on that. At least I'll focus more on the SAP cloud and the Kafka way forward, and if not a working demo, at least the concepts and things, I'll definitely create something in my channel so that you will get to know in case you are interested. What about the platform? We already talked about more in the ABAP, right? ABAP on cloud platform, and I'm a little bit gathering knowledge on the schema, which is the runtime environment of Kubernetes. So kind of a Dockerization, containerizations, those kind of things. And I'll try to create certain contents with very little knowledge I have in Kima, but yeah, still I'll try to share something what I know, so that you can also get around with these things. And let's move forward, and it talks about a keep learning. And yeah, certain conversational AI, all we know SAP has built up certain copilots and chatbots we are also need to learn. And coincidentally, in my channel, you will find certain contents on this SAP conversational AI. And it's a series of discussion, 3 episodes. If you just follow closely, you can build your bot, and you can also integrate your bot with your backend wrap service. And I built certain conversational chatbots, and way forward I'm going to do more on this. So stay tuned, and more about an integration with IoT devices, lots of translations kind of things. And yeah, those kind of explorations I'll try to make and I'll share with you. Now the front end, so far I had not discussed. Front end, I'll be talking about more on SPA development, single page application using React.js. So learn React.js kind of a library, or maybe AngularJS framework model been by Google. I would recommend React.js to start with, because it's a little bit simple way to simple and slick kind of thing, and you'll be able to focus on more rather than going directly to AngularJS. Yeah, kind of a web tooling, those kind of things probably you need to also focus on, and I'll be focusing on my own and also share certain contents. That pretty much this discussion talks about. I believe you enjoyed this discussion, and you get to know a lot of new things that are coming up and we need to focus on. I believe I touched upon a little bit on the CI/CD pipelines, and what else I just told, like what exactly I'm going to focus way forward, and kind of on contents you can expect. A lot of machine learning things and a lot of language driven series of discussions will be way forward coming to my channel. So thanks for watching, and we'll again connect soon with a new topic altogether in the new year. Take care and goodbye.